Good morning. Welcome to the First Universalist Church of Yarmouth. My name is Dale Shields, and I serve on the Board of Trustees, and I'm a member of our Social Justice Council called Faith in Action. I'm so glad to share this morning with you as we celebrate the works and teaching of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. A warm welcome to friends gathered here in the sanctuary, as well as to our friends joining us on Zoom. At First Universalist, our mission is to explore our faith, embrace the community, and to engage the world as spiritual seekers. May we take these words to heart. If this is your first time at our congregation, welcome. We invite you to fill out a little connection card that's located in front of you in your pew, so we may connect with you for events and programs that interest you. You can drop this card in the offering plate when it's passed later in the service. And we'd love to send you our weekly e-newsletter called Channels. For those of you joining us with young children, nursery care is available during our service for babies and toddlers, and the nursery is located out this side door and down the hallway to the left. Following our service, all are invited to join us for coffee hour, our time of friendship and fellowship, which is downstairs in the gathering room. Go out this door and down the stairs. Before we begin our service, I have two announcements. Today marks the beginning of our month of radical love at First U. Each week for the next 4 weeks, we as a congregation will engage in acts of love at home, together, in community, in the wider world. And there's an insert in your order of worship this morning with this week's loving actions. And this sort of insert will go out every week, each Sunday at noon for you to easily have on hand. All are lovingly welcome and lovingly encouraged to join us in taking up these acts of love each week. The second announcement is that next Sunday, in lieu of a standalone mid-year meeting, we'll celebrate a special mid-year worship service with all the usual worship components led by members of our councils and committees. It will be informative but also energizing, and we hope all will gather with us to celebrate what we've accomplished so far this year and where we might go next. And now I invite you to take a deep breath. As we settle into this time together, our music director, Sam Chandler, will lead us into worship.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Dale. Good morning. How are you? Good, good. Happy, blessed, empowering Martin Luther King Day to you, my friends. My name is Hillary. I serve as the minister here in our church that stands on unceded Wabanaki land on the banks of the beautiful river that the Wabanaki called the Wescustigo River. And it is with peace, friendship, reverence, and love that I say, whoever you are, wherever you're from, whomever you love, whatever it is you have done, if you too gather in this sacred space this morning with the intentions of peace, friendship, reverence, and love, or even the hope, the whisper, the inkling of such an intention, you are welcome here. It's good you're here. We're so glad you're here. This morning, we continue to explore, embrace, and engage the question of what does it mean to live with love at our center? And of course, we do so today with the powerful aid of the radical and revolutionary teachings of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who would have turned 94 years old today. This morning, we specifically honor and uplift King's radical love. There is no radical king, writes Cornel West, without his commitment to radical love. His sermons were performances that authorized an alternative reality to the way the world is. His living radiated a radical tenderness, subversive sweetness, and militant gentleness. He took great joy in serving others. And, West concludes, the fundamental question about King remains: does America have the capacity to hear and heed the radical King? Today, my friends, we will hear these radical teachings, and then it will be up to us to heed them. Our words of invocation this morning are from Representative John Lewis, a friend and comrade of the Reverend Dr. King. This passage is from Lewis's book, Across That Bridge, A Vision for Change in the Future of America. And several of you have shared this teaching with me in the past few weeks, and I thank you. It has really stuck with me, and I am glad that it has stuck with you. John Lewis writes, "You are a light. You are the light. Never let anyone, any person, or any force dampen, dim, or diminish your light. Release the need to hate, to harbor division, and the enticement of revenge. Release all bitterness. Hold only love, only peace in your heart, knowing that the battle of good to overcome evil is already won." Good morning, my bright friends. It is good to be with you in this bright space with your bright lights. Let's take a moment now and turn and greet one another. Honor the light we all possess and bring to this moment at hand. I mean, it is written in the order of which. I mean, you can make her up real fast and we can add and real fast. Good morning, my friends. Once again, good morning, good morning. Will you rise in body and spirit with me now and join in singing our opening hymn, number 206 in your gray hymnal, Amazing Grace. Following the singing of this hymn, please remain standing for our unison affirmation.
So we're going to do the first verse twice. The second time is for everybody who was too shy to sing the first time. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Once was lost, but amazing grace, how sweet the
Will you please remain standing as you're able, my friends, and join me in the words of our unison affirmation. They're written in your order of service. We are united in seeking to increase love with justice and to constitute a free church open to all people. Mindful of our past and drawing upon modern knowledge, we respond to the spiritual needs of persons and are devoted to the common good in community, nation, and world. We cherish the integrity of each individual and search for truth with reason as our guide. We respect differences of opinion and strive to be a democratic community. We are concerned with this world and open to the future. Thank you. You may be seated. Mac, will you light our chalice this morning? Thanks, everybody. And so as Dale announced, and as you see in your order of worship, this is the beginning of our month of radical love here at First U. And Dale, being a yoga teacher, is going to teach us the first radical act of this radical month of love, which is how to open our hearts this morning, right? All right, so Mac, you and I are going to help demonstrate, but everyone is going to stretch and open their hearts a little bit now.
Technology. How is that? Can you hear me? Okay, great. So we are going to do some pew yoga this morning. And as Hillary mentioned, the theme will be heart opening. And my goal is to help you untangle your head from your neck from your shoulders from your chest from your heart, and just get things flowing, okay? And every pose that I suggest will have different variations so that you can choose where do you like to stay, okay? The first, these are my demonstrators.
My head's pretty tangled up.
And so I think Hillary, you'll sit here.
Okay.
And Mac, you can sit behind her.
All right.
And sort of be, so these are like pews, if you can see them. And you can pull closer if you need to. Your first pose is going to be a variation of child's pose, which we usually do on the floor, kneeling and all that. But this morning, you're just going to fold your arms like this, lean forward in the pew, and put your arms on the pew in front of you, and then place your forehead on your arms. Make yourself comfortable there. You can move your hips back a little bit in the pew, if that feels good. But just take a few breaths here. This is your time to settle into your body, to relax your senses of perception. So relaxing your eyes, your ears, your tongue, your face, and just taking a few gentle breaths. And then on your next inhalation, sit up and switch the cross of your arms and go forward again. And notice any differences side to side. Who knew there were two sides? And let your shoulders relax, your jaw relax, your throat relax. And we're just beginning that process of opening the heart. And then on your next inhalation, rise up and interlace your fingers together. This is going to have two sides as well. So this is one side, and this is the other side. So start with one side, your favorite side, and just squeeze and release your hands, just to warm up a little bit. And this may be all you do if you have a lot of arthritis in your hands or other restrictions, okay? And then some of you can turn your palms away from your chest, but keep your elbows bent and have your elbows about shoulder height. And push your fingers together. So you're pushing these together a little bit. And you might feel something here You might feel something here. You might feel something here. Good, and you can stay there, or you can go forward, stretching your wrists now. You may think this is a finger stretch, but I want it to be more about your wrists. You may not be able to get your elbows straight, that's okay. And then you can take your arms up directly over your head or any place in between, right? Any place in between is fine. And can you breathe? Good. If it feels good to lift your chin and look up. Lift your chest, lift your chin. Find an exhalation and bring your arms down. Bring your hands back to your chest. Switch the interlace of your fingers. Good. And you can stay here, just squeezing and releasing. You can turn your palms away from your chest, keeping your elbows bent. Pressing the fingers together and feeling the shoulder blades on your back. Feeling your chest opening. Exhale, go forward. Straighten your elbows as much as you can and releasing your shoulders down away from your ears. And then you can begin this journey up or not. Notice if you start to tuck your chin, lift your chin, lift it. At least look forward. You can explore looking up. Exhale and come down. Bring your hands back to your heart, and then bring your hands down onto your lap. And observe any tingling, any sensations, any warmth that's starting to come in this upper body area, in the front and in the back. Now, we're going to do what's called eagle's pose, which can either be giving yourself a hug, or it can be keeping your elbows together and bringing your hands, fingertips up toward the ceiling. Sorry. You guys can watch them. Some of you can bring your palms together. So it's almost a prayer. Yeah. And it's interesting the way you will feel some stretch across the back. And you'll feel a closing in the chest. But try to open your chest even within this pose. Lift and spread your chest. And then release. I know you can't take your arms out to the side, but let's go the other way now. So hug yourself with the other arm on top. And then some of you can wrap your arms together at the elbows. Bring your palms together if you can. Create some resistance between your elbows to spread your shoulder blades more on your back. And soften your eyes. See how your hands are right in front of your face. Soften your eyes, soften your gaze. Good, and then inhale and release. Feel the effects of that pose. Feel what's coming. And then we'll do half cow pose. You're going to take your right arm up, bend it, and touch the back of your right shoulder blade, if you can. And then your other arm comes up and presses down on the elbow. Notice how the chin wants to go down. Lift your chin any amount. And press down with that left hand. Good. Notice how that elbow wants to go out. Just tuck it in a little bit. And then release your arms down. Inhale, exhale. And then your left arm goes up and it bends. You touch whatever you can in your upper back, telling that upper back to relax. Shoulder blades down. Soften the back of your neck. And then the other hand comes and presses down on the elbow as you lift the elbow up into the hand. Rolling that outer left arm forward so it doesn't go flying. And then on an exhalation, release and come down. Next, we'll take our right hand and we'll hold your left ear or your left temple. And you'll stretch your left arm down by your side. And you're very, very gently stretching the whole left side of your neck, top of the shoulder. Good, don't be too aggressive. Noticing the connections that you feel all along the neck, the front of the chest, the back of the shoulder. And then release. Grow taller as you release. And then the other side. So left hand to right temple. Lift your chin away from your chest. Chin away from your chest. Good. And reach your right arm down a little bit by your side. Take a breath and then release. 2 more to go. So this one is just a seated twist in your pew. But I'd like you to look at your feet. Your feet can be hip distance apart, flat on the floor if you can. Notice how the knees are straight forward and they're even. And then grow taller in your seat. And then we'll go to the right first. And you can keep lifting as you turn. And you won't be turning your hips. You won't be turning your legs. You're just turning your upper body. You can take your right arm over the back of the pew if you want, all the way around behind you. And your left hand can come forward to the front, the pew in front of you. Press down to lift up. Lift your chest, spread your collarbones. Take a few breaths there, lifting your chin. And then stay tall as you come back to the center and go to the left. Inhale. Reconnect with your base. The base is your feet, your knees, your 2 sit bones. And as you lift and turn, let your spine turn evenly. Try not to lead this pose with your head. Our brain wants to do the pose. Is your jaw tight? Let go. And then exhale and come back to center. And as our final pose, we're going to do a bit of a back bend, okay? And it can, sitting in your pew, it can look like this, just interlacing your fingers behind you. So that I'm going to give you a few variations. So this is one variation where you stretch your arms and watch how my chest goes up as I stretch. So I'm not stretching and pulling my chest down. I'm stretching and lifting my chest up and even looking up. So that's one. The other one would be to press your feet down and to scoot your hips forward a little bit. Lean back so you catch your shoulder blades on your pew. And then lift your hips up and do a back bend over the back of the chair. Go, 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 go. Come over the back. Come over, come over, come over. It's easier in the pew. Go, kids, go. Up and over, up and over. You're just a little This is a big chair for you. I'm small. Go ahead. Hook your arms. Hook your arms.
There we go.
Head back. Head back. Oh, yeah. Lift your hips. Yes. I'm going to hold you. And come down, and then do it a couple times, because I know it feels good. See if you can see the person behind you, especially if you're a kid. Did you do? You do good? Reach your arms over your head. Say hi. I got you. Oh, good. Okay. And then to settle again, come back to the first pose and be with your breath. This is your final resting pose. How'd you do that, Sam? Over there. Has any space come? Space in the body, space in your mind, space for the breath to flow. Okay, and then come up.
And Namaste, the light in me honors the light in you, in all of you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Dale. Children's Chapel now, yes?
It is time for Children's Chapel.
Wonderful.
Today we are having some snacks. We are continuing to do some watercolor. Today we're going to use some salt and see what that does when we're watercoloring. And so before we go, we're going to do our children's blessing. Ready? We are Unitarian Universalists, people of open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. Join me downstairs for snacks and watercolor.
We now continue the work of untangling our hearts during our time of quiet meditation and prayer. This is a time to reflect on the events of the past week, look forward to what might come in the days ahead, offer a prayer of loving kindness to those in need of loving kindness, or simply be here now, in this moment, and all that it offers in sensation and emotion. Following our time of quiet this morning, all are invited to come up and light a silent candle for a joy, sorrow, or concern you hold today. First, though, won't you join me in taking a deep, refreshing breath in, a calming breath out, and relax into this sacred time of silence. I close this time by lighting 3 additional candles. The first for all of these lights here. May they glow ever brighter in our care. The second, a light for all the joys, the sorrows, the feelings we hold within today, unable to express or explain. And a final light for the joys and sorrows that exist beyond the walls of our congregation in the wider world that also call for our attention and care. Will you take another short moment of quiet with me, my friends? May you be well, may we be well, may all manner of things be well. Amen.
In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. To honor this ideal, today's half-plate recipient is the Maine Unitarian Universalist State Advocacy Network. MUSON connects Maine's 26 UU congregations to amplify our First U influence in 4 broad social justice policy areas in Maine: race, climate, healthcare, and democracy. Please give generously to support the work of this important collaboration. For those in the sanctuary this morning, we'll be passing the offering plate to one another. For those gathered with us online, you're invited to make your offering using the donate button in the order of worship. You may also make your offering by dropping a check in the mail. Thank you.
Oh, the time will come up when the winds will stop and the breeze will cease to be breathing, like the stillness in the wind, for the hurricane begins, the hour that the ship comes in. And the seas will split and the ship will hit, and the sands on the shoreline will be shaken. Then the tide will sound and the wind will pound, and the morning will be breaking. Oh, the fishes will laugh as they swim out the path, and the seagulls, they'll be smiling, and the rocks on the sand will proudly stand the hour that the ship comes in. And the words that are used for to get the ship confused will not be understood as they're spoken, for the chains of the sea will have busted in the night and will be buried at the bottom of the ocean. A song will lift as the mainsail shifts and the boats drift onto the shoreline, and the sun will respect every face on the deck the hour that the ship comes in. Then the sand will roll out a carpet of gold for your weary toes to be a-touching, and the ship's wise men will remind you once again that the whole wide world is watching. Oh, the foes will rise with the sleep still in their eyes, and they'll jerk from their beds and think they're dreaming, but they'll pinch themselves and squeal, and I know that it's for real the hour that the ship comes in. Then they'll raise their hands saying we'll meet all your demands, and we'll shout from the bow your days are numbered, and like Pharaoh's tribe they'll be drowned in the tide, like Goliath they'll be conquered.
Thanks, Sam. Will you join us in singing our song of thanksgiving? In a second. In 1 second. From Thank you, everyone. Our reading this morning is a passage from Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's autobiographical account of the Montgomery bus boycott, which began in 1955 and lasted for a year to 1956. The book is entitled Stride Towards Freedom, and this passage is taken from a chapter entitled Pilgrimage to Nonviolence. And given that today is Martin Luther King Day, this is a slightly longer reading than usual. So just settle in and let his teaching wash over you. In speaking of love, I am not referring to some sentimental or affectionate emotion. It would be nonsense to urge men to love their oppressors in an affectionate sense. When we speak of loving those who oppose us, we speak of a love which is expressed in the Greek word agape. Agape means understanding, redeeming goodwill for all. It is an overflowing love, which is purely spontaneous, unmotivated, groundless, and creative. It is not set in motion by any quality or function of its object. It is the love of God operating in the human heart. Agape makes no distinction between friend and enemy. It is directed towards both. Agape is not a weak, passive love. It is love in action. Agape is love seeking to preserve and create community. It is an insistence on community even when one tries to break it. He who works against the community is working against the whole of creation. Therefore, if I respond to hate with reciprocal hate, I do nothing but intensify the cleavage of broken community. I can only close that gap of broken community by meeting hate with love. If I meet hate with hate, I become depersonalized because creation is so designed that my personality can only be fulfilled in the context of community. Booker T. Washington was right. Let no man pull you so low as to make you hate him. When he pulls you that low, he brings you to the point of working against community. He drags you to the point of defying creation. Love, agape, is the only cement that can hold this broken community together. When I am commanded to love, I am commanded to restore community, to resist injustice, and to meet the needs of my brothers and sisters. There's no radical king, writes Cornel West, without his commitment to radical love. As I read passages of Stride Towards Freedom this week, what stood out to me about King's love, agape, the love upon which he envisioned, organized, and enacted his nonviolent activism, was that it operated outside the concept of bias or merit. One cannot be unworthy of this love, undeserving of this love, outside the realm of its connective and liberating power. As he writes, agape is an understanding, redeeming goodwill for all men. It is not set in motion by any quality or function of its object. Agape makes no distinction between friend and enemy. It is directed towards both. How radical is that? Radical for both the fact that here is a man whose house was just bombed by the KKK, just bombed by the KKK, telling his people that we can't hate these violent racists who want to kill us. We must hold them in goodwill. And it's also radical because embodying, embracing, enacting this love offers a new vision, an alternative reality of America. For in the America of 1955, just as in the America of 2023, we hold fast to an unjust, deeply ingrained, punitive, meritocratic, capitalist ideal that you get what you deserve. Instead, the radical Reverend Dr. King here says that everyone, no matter the hatred, oppression, friendliness, or peace they enact, deserves this restorative love, rooted in an understanding goodwill, and that everyone is included in this vision of unbroken community, the beloved community. Because the only way we get free is if everybody gets free. Free of the hatred, free of the bias, free of the racism, free of the punishing binary thinking that some people deserve love, happiness, comfort, connection, and some do not. Phew. As King states, agape is not a weak, passive love. It is love in action. And putting this love into action, just like becoming anti-racist, just like reducing your carbon footprint, just like learning to speak calmly to your troublesome porcupine-biting dog, I believe requires training and retraining our minds so that we can reprogram our responses when we feel discomfort. These responses to discomfort can certainly look like hatred, but they also often look like fear, avoidance, despair, resentment, passivity, self-harm, aggression, forceful control. All responses that do not mend the broken community. As I read passages of Stride Towards Freedom, one word kept coming to my mind: dignity. It's a word we UUs are familiar with, as it's essential to our first principle, the principle I firmly believe is the one principle all UUs, or at least a vast number of UUs, know by heart. What is the first principle, folks? The inherent worth and dignity of every person. I heard about 3 of you say it. I know that you all know it by heart, though. I know that you all know it by heart. The inherent worth and dignity of every person. It is at the top of the list for a reason. Everything flows from this principle. And of course, these principles are currently being revised in our denomination right now. And though the word dignity has not been offered as one of the values of our faith in Article 2 Commission's initial draft, the value of equity has been offered. And equity is accompanied with this guidance. Equity. We declare that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. Dignity. Bob Dylan's got a great song called Dignity. We'll put that one in the books for next year. Inherent dignity. Every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. In the evening of December 5th, 1955, 4 days after Rosa Parks was arrested for not giving up her seat, at the end of the first successful day of the Montgomery bus boycott, MLK gave a rallying speech to thousands in Montgomery who were participating in the boycott. What many of these folks, living under the oppression and abuse of Jim Crow and likely feeling a great deal of animosity towards their white oppressors, didn't know yet was that this boycott and the additional civil disobedience actions that followed it would be centered in non-violence. The uplifting, holy message of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount formed the slogan of this boycott campaign. Thou shalt not requite violence with violence. If you will protest courageously and yet with dignity and Christian love, King spoke. When the history books are written, the historians will say, there lived a great people, a Black people who injected new meaning and dignity into the veins of civilization. This is our challenge and our overwhelming responsibility. Dignity. Powerful word. Inspires people to be brave because it reminds people that they are inherently brave and inherently worthy of being treated with respect. Dignity. It's an effective word. It has a physical effect, untangles the heart, you might say. Calling up your dignity changes your posture, how you move and speak. It expands your mind, opens your heart. What is the definition of dignity? Merriam-Webster offers, it's the quality or state of being worthy of honor or esteem. Sure, but let's add the word inherent in there. The inherent quality or state of being worthy of honor or esteem. And let's hold that definition alongside the truth that every life is precious, invaluable, and irreplaceable, yours and mine included. Our needs, our loves, our abilities are important and deserving of recognition. We all desire to be treated as something of value. Tap in for a moment within yourself and feel that desire to be of value and to be treated as someone of value. That feeling is inherent in all of us, everybody. Beyond race, ethnicity, class, ability, age, gender, education, political affiliation, geographic location, religion, we all want to be seen as someone of value. You are a light, wrote John Lewis. You are the light. Never let anyone, any person, or any force dampen, dim, or diminish your light. Your light is your dignity. It is inherent, it is your birthright. And hey, everyone else, every person has a light too. As a white person, I take it as my responsibility to honor and uplift the dignity of King and the brave activists who met his charge and took on this overwhelming responsibility in Montgomery for the next year and beyond. How to honor and uplift this? By not furthering the split of broken community with my resentment, despair, shame, and fear. By living with dignity and recognizing the dignity of others with an aim to revere the dignity of others. Today we begin our month of radical love here at First U. centered in love, rooted in this vision of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. This is our response to the hatred we received from white supremacists last month. We are meeting hate with love. We are keeping our dignity intact and expanding our recognition and reverence of the dignity of others. We are striving to express an understanding goodwill towards all. We hope to be of service to the beloved community by not intensifying the cleavage of the broken community and rather doing our best to mend it. And I know what some of you are thinking. At least this is something I think. Revering the dignity of the white supremacists? Yes. Yeah. But let me remind you, as King clearly stated, in speaking of love here, we're not referring to some sentimental or affectionate emotion. It would be nonsense to urge men to love their oppressors in an affectionate sense. This is a big picture love, folks, for humanity. A big picture desire to heal the world. Lama Rod Owens, a Black, queer, radically loving Buddhist teacher of today, bases much of his Dharma on how to handle grief, trauma, and despair. Very prevalent states of mind in Black and queer communities. Very prevalent states of mind across the board these days. Lama Rod, like King, urges people not to offer affectionate love for those who wish to cause them harm or are actively causing harm. And he also urges us not to attempt to force those who we believe are wrong to change. That is punitive, he teaches. It's meeting violence with more violence. Instead, Lama Rod urges us to practice mourning. We have to mourn what we don't have the capacity to impact, he teaches. We have to mourn the things that we feel helpless about. We touch into that discomfort and notice it and say, yes, there it is. There is that heartbreak. There is that pain. And then we must experience it. Get soft with it. Name it, honor it, accept it. This is a way of being in a tender, loving relationship with what we can't change. And I would argue that it's also a way of training our mind to remain open, to remain soft, rather than closing up and resisting. And this, of course, is a way of honoring the dignity, revering the dignity even of those who cause harm, by mourning the unjust, violent systems of the world that have dimmed and dampened their light. This is not a feeling of pity. This is not a sentimental, hurt people, let's have compassion because they're suffering. This is a deep, radical love rooted in a deep desire for liberation for all and the creation of beloved community. When we have understanding goodwill, when we tap into agape, we feel a deeper reverence for every living being. And we feel pain and heartbreak for the broken community. And we experience a deeper compulsion to heal the world. Friends, let's take this month to train our minds to turn towards love. Practice opening your heart. Take on our weekly actions. Add some of your own in there. Pay attention to what you give your time to. Pay attention to what you give your mind to. How do you respond to discomfort? What is the discomfort you're feeling? Experience it. How do you respond to love? What is the love you're feeling? Experience it. How do you regard others? How do you regard yourself? Experience your dignity and the dignity of others. Let's hear and heed these teachings, my friends. Practice dignity. Revere your light. Revere everybody's light. You deserve it. Everybody deserves it. Get radical. Get radically bright for the sake of love and liberation. Let there be light, my friends. Let there be love. Let it be so. And amen. Our closing hymn is also in your gray hymnal. It's number 129, Let Love Continue Long. And will you rise in body and spirit and sing along with me?
So I'm going to do 3 times. First will be instrumental, so get the melody, and then first and second verse. Let love continue long and show to us the way. And if that love be strong, no work can rouse us. And if that love remain but strong, no hurt can ever have us say. Will not be found and show to us down a common gate will find when human love does not abound. A common faith will always.
Thank you all for joining us on this Martin Luther King Day weekend. We hope you will join us for coffee hour following our service to talk more about the radical love present in our lives. Before we depart this sanctuary, though, my friends, will you join me in a closing time of prayer? May all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings experience profound joy and the causes of profound joy. May the light of every being shine bright, never dimmed, never dampened, always open to the love that is ever present in this world. Amen. And will you join us in the words of our unison benediction, my friends, in your order of worship? For those who come here seeking God, may God go with you. For those who come embracing life, may life return your affection. For those who come to seek a path, May a way be found and the courage to take it step by step. Have a wonderful day, my friends. Go in peace. Please remain seated for a postlude. Enjoy Sam's beautiful music, and I'll see you as you head out.